Rise and grind, folks. Guys, I am on the way to an existing customer to do a heat maintenance. This is a commercial customer. We got to come out here right now to do a drive-in cleaning and a heat maintenance. We're going to kill two birds with one stone. Guys, it's important for us to get here at least an hour before they open up because we got to unplug the dryer machines. This place needs the dryers to run, but we got to get here early enough to unplug everything from downstairs, do our thing, and we got to jump up on the roof and we clear the drive-in line out from the ground level, and we also clear it out from the roof. So we're definitely going to need at least 30 to 40 minutes of nothing being hooked up for us to do our thing. And guys, after we do the drive-in cleaning, I already got the filters with me. We got to replace the filters. I believe there's about 5 of them in that rooftop unit, and I think I replaced the filters last year when I came out, but I know they're probably dirty by now. But guys, I am almost there right now. Let's go get everything squared away. I'll see y'all when I get inside. Guys, we wasted no time. Down here is looking good. I'm gonna get the rest from up on the roof. And for you guys that do drive-in cleaning, you probably got your own routine, but depends on the length of the dryer line. Like if the outlet of this dryer vent line was on the opposite wall, it would be not much to clean, but this goes up about 20 feet up on the roof. So instead of me trying to snake this from all the way up to down or vice versa, I hit this from 2 points. I hit this from here up to about maybe 4 feet, and I do the same thing up on the roof. I take the cap off and I brush it down and then back up, and then after I put everything back together and run it, it blows everything out on the roof. So, but the only thing is, guys, with the brushes, you want to make sure that you guide the brush in by hand. If you extend this thing like 20 feet and use the drill to force the brush in, it may get stuck. So, and that's not a fun experience. But guys, this is almost done. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clear out the hoses here a little bit more, and I'm gonna clean up, put this back together, and we're gonna go on the roof. All right, let me do my thing. I'll be back. All right, guys, I am up on the roof, and let me zoom out here. I got my doohickey attached, and like I said, everything downstairs is already flushed up. And guys, these extension bits I have with the brush, this thing can go up to like 30 feet, but like I was saying downstairs, it wouldn't make much sense to put the whole length in because it's going to get stuck on the elbow. I already been through that before. But guys, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this much down gently, and I'm going to back it out, and some particles may come out, but after I put the cap back on, that's when most of the stuff is going to blow right out. That was in between the area that I did downstairs and the area that I did up here. But guys, I want to show you something here. Look at this. And guys, you heard it here first. If something happens to me on this ladder, I'm not going to work another day in my life. This is your early retirement. Look at this. What the hell is this? So this is my visual evidence. It wasn't too shaky on the way up. I just noticed this like 2 seconds ago, but I think somebody wants me to get paid, guys. What y'all think? But all right, guys, let me flush this drive-in line here, and I'll be right back. All right, guys. As you see here, February. It was the last time these filters got replaced. Out with the old. And in with the new. And I should have these marked up with the date. Yep, I do. Right here. All right, guys, let me put these filters in, and I already turned this on. I got both thermostats right now calling for heat, and I heard my burners turn on, so I didn't want to keep the heat running while I did the drive-in cleaning, so I killed the disconnect. But let me put these filters in, and we'll pick this back up once I get to the burner section. I'll be right back. All right, guys, this is a spark ignition gas pack rooftop unit. Spark ignition is very common on rooftop units. Now, I did see, this had to have been like at least 7 years ago, I did see a hot surface ignition gas pack rooftop unit, but guys, I guess I never looked into this, but I guess spark ignition over time is more efficient on rooftop units than hot surface ignition. But nonetheless, whenever you guys are performing heat maintenances on spark ignition gas pack rooftop units or even furnaces, you want to take the spark ignition assembly out and you want to clean the rods, similar to how you do flame sensors. The flame sensor in this unit is right behind the pressure switch. So guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take apart my flame sensor, take apart my spark rod. I'm going to clean it. First, I'm going to inspect it, make sure that everything's still intact and it's not chewed up too bad. But I'm going to inspect the rods, clean them, and I'm going to inspect this pressure switch port here. I'm going to take the tube off here, make sure that's not gunked up, and I'm going to wipe down my burner assembly. And guys, this rooftop unit isn't too old. This thing is only about like 10 years old, if that. And luckily this customer got maintenance done from the giddy up. So what can happen probably won't happen because this unit has been properly maintained and taken care of for an extended amount of time, for as long as I can remember. Now, the unit you can't see on the other side, that's another story for another day. But guys, what I'm going to do, let me wipe down the burners, let me take everything apart, and let's get this show on the road. I will see y'all in a little bit. All right, guys, my pressure switch port, it looks okay, but I'm still going to stick some wire inside that port just to make sure that we prevent any intermittent pressure switch faults over the course of the winter. And sensor looks as expected. We clean this every year. It doesn't look terrible, but we still want to clean that off. And guys, look at this. Look at the spark rod. Now, I think I briefly went over this last year, but I didn't go over this too much in detail because most furnaces that we see is going to be hot surface ignition. But guys, whenever you inspect spark rods, and this, once again, this is for spark ignition rooftop units and spark ignition gas furnaces, you always want to inspect the porcelain on a spark rod, similar to a flame sensor. The porcelain is just a white protective material here. You see that? If the porcelain looks cracked or broken, you always want to recommend, you see that here? The porcelain is nothing more than just a protective white material here. Guys, inspect the porcelain thoroughly. If the porcelain is cracked or broken, always recommend replacing the sensor or the spark rod. It only takes 2 seconds to inspect it. But guys, if I just briefly looked over this, just because this is a newer rooftop unit and a broken porcelain continues to worsen, this could cause issues with the spark rod, and now this customer is going to be without heat at some point in the winter. But you see the discolorment there in the rod, that can be definitely cleaned out. And last year there were no notes of the condition of this rod. So, and guys, knock on wood, nothing got replaced on this particular unit. Let me zoom out here so y'all can see. Nothing got replaced to my knowledge on this particular unit. It's the one across on the other side that the customer got a bunch of work done. And this is 2 different buildings. It's the same complex, but they got a bunch of rooftop units on this side of the building and on the other side. But primarily everything on this side is 10 years old or younger. On the other side, that's where you got the dinosaurs. But this is something, if you guys are out here doing a bunch of heat maintenances on spark ignition or even hot surface ignition furnaces and rooftop units, always show the customer, especially if it's preventative, you always want to show the customer before and after. If you checked an igniter and it's below threshold, make sure the customer knows what the healthy threshold on a typical hot surface igniter is, and also let them know what the actual current reading is. But since there's no hot surface igniter here, I'm going to take the before and after pictures. I'm going to clean this spark rod off and also the sensor. And even though I'm not recommending replacing anything, it always benefits the customer to know what problems we avoided by getting the maintenance done today. And guys, that's the purpose of the maintenance, is to avoid breakdowns. So this is a no-brainer in regards of me putting this in a report to make sure the customer knows why this is important to get it done. Now, will that work for every customer? No. Unfortunately, some customers got to go through the hassles and the inconveniences of breakdowns to know the importance of why it's important to get maintenance done. You always want to prevent a problem, and this is one of my golden nuggets. It is way cheaper to prevent a problem than it is to wait until it happens, because now snowball effects do happen. We don't know when, where, or how that will happen, but if something goes a prolonged amount of time without getting clean, now this could snowball into something else, and now before you know it, the customer's going to be out a couple $1,000s. And depends on the efficiency and SEER. This is not going to be something universal. You might have to get an OEM motor that's going to be a week away, and it's going to be $1,500. So that's not a pretty picture I would want to paint for a customer, but it costs the customer nothing to know of what they could avoid up front if they get proper maintenance and cleaning done, and that's where you come into play. But all right, guys, that's enough yapping. Let me clean these sensors off, and I will be right back. All right, guys. That's definitely looking better. Now, let's reassemble everything. And I did stick a piece of thermostat wire inside the port there. Everything is clean. There is no resistance inside of the port, which is a good thing. No beehive, nothing crazy inside the inducer housing. But guys, let me put this back together and let me clear some space out the way. I will be right back. All right, guys, I just checked my supply. Everything's fired up. Now, I gotta rope my stuff down, do the paperwork, and I gotta close this one out. But there you have it, heat maintenance on the spark ignition rooftop unit, and also we just did the drive-in cleaning, killed two birds with one stone. This customer is ready to roll for the winter, and we'll shoot back out here in the spring to replace the filters again, and we're good to go. There you have it. Peace out. I will see you guys on the next one.